high 20s as we head to the weekend. But again, a risk of storms, risk of rain. We do need the rainfall. Our gardens are desperate for it. Back to you.
Yeah, mine too. Pretty parched. Thomas, thank you. Thomas Schaffenacker there. That's it. More on the latest developments and all the top stories over on the BBC website. But the news continues, of course, on BBC One as we join our colleagues across the nations and regions for all the news where you are. Bye for now.
The headlines in London and the South East today. Get your spring booster now. The NHS urges those eligible to get their latest COVID vaccine before the deadline. It was gutted by fire more than 20 years ago. Today, Sheerness Dockyard Church officially opens after a multi-million-pound transformation. And comedian and writer Ben Elton takes centre stage in his own hit musical, We Will Rock You. Good afternoon and welcome to your news in London and the South East. The NHS is urging more people to get their spring COVID booster jab before the deadline at the end of the month. It comes as new data shows that of those eligible for the booster, just over 60% had received the jab in the South East, while in London that figure is lower at 40%. Well, NHS England believes more than 800,000 people remain eligible to come forward for the booster, as Layla Hayes reports.
At the height of the pandemic, there were long queues for the COVID vaccine. Now things are very different. At this surgery in East London, more than 60 people have booked to get a COVID jab today. But take-up for the spring booster across London and the South East is far lower than expected.
Those eligible for the spring booster include elderly care home residents, anyone over the age of 75, and those who are extremely clinically vulnerable. But they only have until the 30th of June to get it.
It's going to be a sharp scratch, okay? Ready to go?
Yeah.
England is now urging anyone who is eligible to come forward, with the message that COVID hasn't gone away.
Was it important for you to come and have this today?
Well, at my age, you can't afford to take chances.
I think, it's important that to get the booster, especially, people, they're like myself, who've got weak immune system, to show that, we're still protected in the long run.
I was sort of wondering whether I should go for this one again. If it's really having any effect, you don't know. But I thought, well, why not?
There are fears that some are now becoming complacent about the virus, but doctors say the booster will save lives.
People are still getting COVID, and as we know with viruses evolve, and that's what the booster's really about. It's about topping up your immunity to protect you from COVID, and also if you do get COVID, it won't be as severe.
The booster jabs are only available on the NHS until the end of the month. So if you get invited, it's time to book now.
Layla Hayes reporting for us there. Now, the promised new hospital at Whipps Cross in East London will not be completed until 2030, 4 years later than expected, the government's told MPs. The rebuilding project was meant to be finished by 2026 as part of the government's commitment for 40 new hospitals. It will serve more than 400,000 people across Waltham Forest, Redbridge and parts of Essex. A man from Maidstone who downloaded hundreds of video and pictures of child sex abuse has been jailed. John Pattison stored images of children as young as 6 months old. He was released from prison in 2019 after serving 18 years behind bars for murder. A multi-million-pound restoration project has been completed at Sheerness Dockyard Church on the Isle of Sheppey, more than 20 years after a fire destroyed the building. It's been transformed into a space designed to help the local community, as Peter Whittlesey reports.
For more than a century, it was the heart of a thriving Royal Naval base, and these brothers remember singing in the choir at Sheerness's Dockyard Church.
To recall it in its original state, with all the gold leaf and all the colours, and full with all the military and the bands, and yes, it was an amazing thing to experience as a young child.
Fantastic experience of when you had 200 or 300 army officers and people in the church at big occasions, and so yeah, the memories of this building and the echo, the sounding of it was fantastic.
Many thought all that history was lost forever when the Dockyard Church was devastated by fire in 2001. But then a preservation trust was set up, funding was secured, and now, more than 20 years on, the building has been restored.
Because the journey has been a long one, and sometimes, you know, we doubted whether we'd ever get to this point. But to be in this space with the light flooding in through the windows, all set up to be this enterprise centre, to inject energy and excitement into Sheerness, it's absolutely wonderful and incredibly satisfying.
The Preservation Trust knew it would never secure lottery funding unless the church could have a practical use. That's why it's now a community space. But the Trust was determined to save a local landmark.
What a brilliant story. That was Peter Whittlesey reporting for us there. Now, the comedian, writer and director Ben Elton will make his stage acting debut as the rebel leader in the hit musical We Will Rock You at the London Coliseum today. The actor wrote the show, which he's directed for the past 21 years, but he's told Michael Mackenzie that he'll now take the lead for the very first time.
The award-winning comedian's career has spanned over 40 years, but now Ben Elton will tread the boards for the first time at age 64 in his production, We Will Rock You.
So Ben, you've written and directed this production, now you're actually starring in it.
It's been one of the great privileges and joys of my career to be able to work with the music of Queen, and more than that, to work with Queen themselves over many, many years, decades now.
And Ben, you're making your stage debut in this production. What's that like?
I've been in amateur musicals when I was a kid, but this is my stage debut, professionally. Last time I sang on stage was Consider Yourself in an amateur production of Oliver in 1973. So, yeah, it's been quite humbling in a way to be amongst such brilliant talents, but also hugely exhilarating. And when the audiences leap to their feet and you see 4 full tiers, we are the champions. Well, it's a very special moment.
And then, Ben, what are you hoping an audience will take away from coming to see this production?
Those who loved it once before when we ran 12 years in London will love it again. It's the same show, but actually it's also taken a step up. There's new jokes, there's some new music in it, or obviously Queen hits, and it's got a couple of extra ideas in it. So it's all the same and all new.
We Will Rock You is on until the 27th of August.
That was Michael Mackenzie with that report. Can't wait to see it. Now let's take a check on the weather forecast, and Nina is here for us. Nina.
Hi Kirsteen, thank you very much. Most of us have brightened up. We have still got cloudier skies across parts of East Kent, and one more day of this weather pattern before we then start to see some changes as things will turn much warmer, but along with that potentially we'll see some showers. So through the afternoon we've got the best of the sunshine across more western areas. Temperatures will climb to around about 20 to 21 degrees, but with the strong northeasterly wind and more cloudier skies further east, temperatures here remaining at around 15 to 16. Overnight tonight, that cloud will roll back in once again, and temperatures, just like the last few nights, will dip down into single figures. We'll see lows of around about 7 to 9 degrees. Through the day tomorrow, it's our usual pattern of a little overcast first thing in the morning, but then things will brighten up as we go through the day, perhaps a little more readily, particularly across parts of East Kent tomorrow. But temperatures on a par with recent days across parts of East Kent. We've got temperatures of 15 to 16. In that afternoon, sunshine further west, highs of 20 to 21. Now, I mentioned a change. The high pressure will clear away. We'll start to pick up some weather fronts potentially from the southwest. That's dragging in the warmer air, both by day and by night. But along with that, some hit and miss, potentially heavy showers. Kirsteen.
Thanks very much for that, Nina. Lots of sunshine at least. Now, coming up at 6:30. West Ham play their first European final for 47 years tonight when they take on Fiorentina in Prague in the Europa Conference League final. We'll be hearing from fans who've travelled to watch the match. That's it from me. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye for now. Take care.
discover unique stories.
The key to understanding where we are today is to hear these stories from that time, from both sides.
We're able to listen live to something we would never normally be able to hear, the Oceans Orchestra.
Welcome to 17th century London, in the alehouses.
All in one place. Only on the BBC. Watch on iPlayer.
We're hitting the road to explore beautiful Britain.
Come on in, let's go.
Something we haven't done since we was kids.
Dad? Say you carry on, I'm telling you. Come on in, Josh! I shall not be defeated!
And opening up about stuff we've never talked about.
Have I let you down as a son? Family is more important than anything in the world.